Well, good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah, and it's a packed morning of trade for sure, simply because there are just a bunch of stocks which will react to results on MSCI, and it's not a rebalancing but a weightage increase of sorts. So those, plus there are 6 new FNO entrants that have been announced yesterday in addition to the 5 announced earlier, and you might see some activities there. You never know. So and a couple of bulk deals as well. So just a clutch of stocks that will react. But first, the basic setup. And you would argue that there's some bit of sanity in the markets. Maybe after a while, there was a bit of, a breathing space for the US market, for example. So they ended very, very quiet, and which is fine, right? I mean, you could have a day of just a normal movement, which is not always moving up. So it was a quiet day of trade. For sure. The key is, while a lot of people are worried about what this would do, and I'm not an expert on the US markets, but there's this chart on the Bloomberg terminal which shows that how the ratio of the number of upgrades to downgrades in earnings, or the outlook, really, not the earnings, but the outlook, and that continues to be net positive. Look at this. This is the S&P 500 monthly net outlooks revised upwards or downwards. And as you can see, in the last whatever number of months or quarters, just months, this is, I reckon, the net outlooks revised upwards is just much higher. It may have tapered down compared to what maybe the scene was end 2020, but this is not bad at all. So that continues to rise and shine. So it's an interesting chart. I thought I should bring it to you. Nevertheless, from an immediate trades perspective, I think it will be a quiet day of trade. You don't need me to tell you that, really. You know this by virtue of seeing what the US markets did and what the Asian screen might be doing. So we'll come up on your screen next. HSI, KOSPI. So mixed trades, slightly positive as well. At some of the indices are flattish too. So that's the key point. We've had a very good run until recently, but yesterday's half an hour was a bit disconcerting, if you will, from a bull's perspective. And I don't know if that has an impact in today's session, even if irrespective of however we start. And the SGX Nifty will come up on your screen next to show you how we are likely to start. But irrespective of this 0.25%, 0.5% start upwards, etc., you know what happened yesterday, and that should be at the back of the mind of people. So keep that in store for sure. So therefore, the question is, what's the trade setup therefore? I would reckon that the cautious mood in global markets is likely to keep trading quiet in early trade. When I look at the technical factors given by people, I think yesterday's low of 15,060 is around the hourly 20 EMA, which is an important short-term support. So if the markets were to break this, then a couple of technical experts have written that this could actually be a negative and could take the markets lower. But viewers, remember, I think the fundamental point is that any dips in the market get bought into. Now, whether if there is a dip, and whether it gets bought into at 1% down, 3% down, 5% down, anybody's guess. But keep in mind that buy on dips is the strategy, or rather, if there is a dip, then buy. I'm not saying buy on dips is the strategy. The market could well be headed higher. Gautam Shah yesterday in the BQH event said that the targets are much, much higher. So keep that at the back of your mind as well. Just one quick thing that I want to bring to the attention of our viewers, that I mentioned that 6 FNO stocks. So keep in mind, in addition to the 5 announced earlier, which included the Deepak Nitrites of the world, there is Alembic Pharma, City Union Bank, Granules, Gujarat Gas, L&T Tech Services, and Emphasis, which become a part of FNO. So that list just expands. There's some nifty earnings, 4 nifty earnings today, and a clutch of very important mid-cap earnings as well today. So iShare, Gale, Hindalco, and Titan are amongst the large-cap nifty names. And at the broader end of non-nifty names, there are a bunch of very, very important names. So, I mean, everybody's now watching out for PSU Bank. So Bank of India becomes important. Aurobindo Pharma, I dare say, becomes very important. I've been calling for this week to have some pharma presence. Let's wait and watch if Aurobindo does that, post numbers. Also BEML, since the PSUs and the defense-related PSUs are so important. I wouldn't rule out IGL after the surprise that Gujarat Gas, or rather that Gujarat Gas gave. So watch out for IGL too, even if the business model is slightly different. And after yesterday's performance by ABFRL, Page Industries was anyways up 3%. It'll be interesting to see what the growth is in the athleisure segment for Page Industries. So all very important names to monitor. And SpiceJet, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, if they show some really good occupancies and profit numbers, I think the markets would love it. So let's wait and watch what happens there. So the broader market's really, really important. Not to say that the large caps are not, because On both Hindalco and Eicher, it will be very important, as well as Titan. It will have to live up to its billing of the kind of valuations that it has. So let's wait and watch. So that makes the day very interesting. Now the morning, right on open, becomes very, very interesting as well. And I want to bring to attention the few names that I think are important. I mean, I can't obviously spell out everything because it's a long list, but let's start off with the MSCI ones. Right now, the stocks in focus because of the MSCI changes are names like Bharti Airtel, wherein because of the weightage increase, keep in mind, Bharti Airtel and other MSCI changes are not additions, but weightage increases. And therefore, you might not see them as fresh additions, and therefore buying it comes in there. But there are a weighted change, and therefore there will be fund flows. So I'm reading out, viewers, the fund flows as per some brokerages. Now these are not confirmed. Some may have more, some may have less. But Bharti Airtel, about $600 million approximately as per the Kotak note. So 4,200 crores. I reckon while this was no news, it might have an impact on Bharti. HDFC Life was up, I think 3% day before yesterday. And that one will have about $52 million. Indus Towers will have $70 million. Indus Towers was up about on an upper circuit yesterday, if I'm not wrong. So, the large caps like Infosys, HDFC, etc. might see some outflows, but very small impact really. I think the main impact is probably on Bharti Airtel because it's a large number and that might have a sentiment impact this morning. So watch out for Airtel. So that is one. Okay, what else? Results. Let's talk about some results, right? Tata Steel, for example. Splendid show. Revenues up 11%. Net profit at about 3,989 crores versus a loss of 1,160 crores. By the way, the Bloomberg estimate was for a profit number of 3,410 crores. So they've beaten that estimate handsomely. EBITDA up 160% at 9,540 crores. The estimates were 8,500 crores. So again, a very handsome beat there. Margins 24% versus 10.3%. You really couldn't find too much of a fault with the Tata Steel numbers. JP Morgan has upgraded Tata Steel post these numbers. Let's wait and watch. Keep in mind, though, NMDC was upgraded as well. The stock impact was not so much. The metal stocks have done a bit of a rally, so I don't quite know how much of excitement, but these numbers are strong, and therefore one would reckon that there should be a bit of an impact, but you never know. Let's wait and watch how it shapes up. I think Endurance Technologies, simply because of, I was reading a Motilal note which says that they have a highest EBITDA, highest revenues ever, and the results are very good. Profit after tax up 53-54%. So that stock could be in focus as well. Mahanagar Gas is interesting. So net sales are down, but the net profit is up about 17%. They've approved an interim dividend of 9 rupees per share as well. Be interesting to see what MGL does in the session today. So therefore, do watch out for MGL for sure. There is Burger King, which is interesting. So on a quarter-on-quarter basis, net revenue is up about 68.7%. EBITDA is up about 15%. The net loss has reduced a bit to 29 crores versus 37 crores. I've not done a YOY comparison out here, viewers, simply because we are in slightly different times, right? So all consumption businesses, you got to map how quick the recovery is looking like. Is it very quick? Maybe not, but there is recovery. So on a YOY, same-store sales same-store sales decline for Burger King on a YOY basis, but there is a sequential improvement for sure because there was so if you just see the first two lines here, viewers, the same-store sales growth is 34.8% decline. But if you look at what they did in Q1 and Q2, the declines were 69% and 48%. So compared to that, it's a much better SSSG performance. And the management said that in Jan 21, the same-store sales growth decline was about 14.8%. So as you can see, it's sequentially improving. Now, it's not improving as quickly as some of its peers. Jubilant FoodWorks, same-store sales growth in Q3 was just minus 1.7. Compared to that, Burger King has 34.8%. So it's not improving as much as Jubilant or even Westlife, which is the fair comparison, right? Burger joints. Even Westlife has done better than Burger King. But maybe people would take heart from the fact that compared to what it was doing, their decline is certainly getting arrested, and Jan numbers are very impressive. So let's wait and watch how this one shapes up. Chalet Hotels is the other one. Revenues up 43%, EBITDA up 470% quarter on quarter. Occupancy for Q3 was at 33% against 25% for Q2. 33% is not great because remember, Mahindra Holiday and Resorts saw 75% occupancy. So whether the markets will like these numbers or no, don't quite know, but watch out. And then there are a bunch of others, right? Muthoot Finance, which could react to its numbers. Adani Ports, the brokerages have been very, very bullish. So that one could have a very strong move. Torrent Power is an interesting one. Max Financial, they have a beat on VNB margins and they've done really well. Target prices have been increased by a bunch of brokerages. So therefore, watch out for that as well. So a clutch of these names should be at the top of your mind. Lastly, viewers, keep in mind, two state governments have spoken about liquor, wherein I think Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan says that we want to make Madhya Pradesh a liquor-free state, so there might be a ban. Or Delhi government prepares a new excise policy, apparently, that will increase the liquor prices by 50%. All of this might have a slightly negative impact on UB and USL, so you have to bear that in mind as well. So, as I said, a clutch of names. Don't quite know which ones, but I think the MSCI changes. Companies like Endurance Tech and Max Financial, and to an extent Burger King, should be top of mind for a lot of you. And then there will be some others. Do try and read our All You Need to Know copy for getting some more dope about some of these names as well. But I'll end this very long trade setup with a chart that stood out for me. And that's the correlation between the stock price of Tesla and the price of Bitcoin. Now, the correlation between the two was 0.95. Can you imagine that? Nearly one correlation of nearly one before Tesla announced the purchase. So even before that, the prices were moving in tandem. So whether you invest in Tesla or Bitcoin, your fortunes might actually be very, very tied. Be mindful of that. Take care and have a great trading day. It's a busy one today, both at 9:15 a.m. when the reactions happen and then during the day when the results start trickling in. So trade safe.